So here is our same pen that we've been using before. We listed all the different parts of the technology, where we mentioned the cap and the ink and the surface texture, the length, the size, the clip. As many things as we could see about this, the different technologies used in the pen. And here, when we think about markets now, there's of course the gigantic general purpose writing market. Now, of course, it's not really one gigantic market. There's all sorts of sub-markets in there, but in general, we know from experience that pens do sell for quite a broad audience, and then there's other specialized pens that hit the target market. So, in this particular case, there's certainly a general market. The question is, are the collections of technologies that we're showing here in this pen really the best for for that for that particular application. Another possible application is the artist's application. So, in particular, our pen, you recall, is something that's relatively new. It's a fountain pen, and so there's a tip that is unusual and took a long time to figure out how to manufacture, but now there is. So, artists could be a particular special target group for that, because a fine tip like that with appropriate paper might be interesting. And then there's scientists, engineers, again for research notebooks and things like that. They might prefer to have this kind of pen. Other markets, as you think of them, below this general purpose writing market, are school children. Do they prefer a particular kind? I'm pretty sure, for example, we shouldn't be thinking this way yet, since we're just trying to list all the different particular market applications. But would school children really want a fountain pen? You would think off the top of your head that that group of technologies focusing on that is probably not what they want. On the other hand, it's disposable, so it's less expensive. So now maybe it's interesting. And especially, you can imagine if there's a lot of parochial schools where they're still teaching script writing, that they would need to possibly use fountain pens. So again, this is the kind of thinking that's occurred. You think about the different potential markets. College students, where maybe they're more sophisticated, they want the lower cost, but they still want a fountain pen. Research notebooks, drawings, artists, whatever. Of course, different kinds of professional fields. Maybe this is a particular kind of pen, and the collection of pens, technologies in this pen are appropriate for different groups. And again, this is a broader category. It can be broken down into smaller ones. Now, this gets kind of interesting. This gets back to our, just thinking about markets in general and not thinking about the particular technologies in this pen, which is really what you should be doing if you're trying to innovate. That is, you don't want to let the particular technologies in this pen, like I've been doing, influence all of what you think about in terms of market application, because there might be an idea that allows you to go into some new territory. So, paperless professionals, do they use pens? And the answer is yes. They might use styluses or something like that. So again, its relevance to this particular pen is not known, but the idea is that it gives you, some idea. And here's another one: extreme conditions. Again, this particular pen is not that relevant to extreme conditions, but if we're really trying to open up innovation space, then there are extreme conditions, space and underwater. Pens that you don't want to stop working just because you drop them in water, etc. And that goes in close to a new category, a related category, which is luxury, because people will buy pens of how they look or how they feel or how they look to others and things like that. And so again, just the general idea here is take something and say, hey, look, these are all the market applications possible. And later, we're not doing this yet, but later when you want to start narrowing them down, you can use things like common sense, although at your own peril, because it means you're putting yourself as the customer, and that's a dangerous thing to do sometimes. On the other hand, if you are good at it, like Steve Jobs, you can save yourself a tremendous amount of time by filtering out things that aren't applications, markets that aren't going to be for your particular idea. But you use information from talking to companies in those markets. If it's customers, you talk to the consumer themselves. So there's many ways in which you collect this information to narrow this later. But right now, we're just trying to open it up, increase our, let's say, our potential for innovation. And so we list everything that we can potentially think of. So just like with the technology space, one can ask, well, I could make an infinite number of these, and I could make one. And so the answer is, depending on how innovative you want to be, you would consider more and more. So the more components that you consider, the more possibilities that you have to be innovative. Of course, the higher the risk and the longer the time it takes to investigate all of those different markets. So again, there's a clear trade-off. Like with anything, which is the risk-reward trade-off. The higher risk is to consider more and more things for a potential higher return by having a market application identified for what other things that you're considering. So that classic trade-off I just mentioned is the risk-reward trade-off. So again, going forward, just like for the technology space, the size of this circle is going to represent the degree of uncertainty. So if I'm going to think deeply and try to find new innovation space dependent on market application element, then I'm going to consider as many of these possibilities as I can, and then I'll have to narrow them somehow by putting a lot of work into looking at the different market spaces through the what I mentioned last time: research, conversations with experts, and interacting with these application areas as well as with industry.